Shalom, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for Compassion, Kindness, and Dignity with Rabbi Dr. Gil Gershon Tivon and Dr. Shirli Regev. And I want to thank our great partners at Beth El in Phoenix for co-sponsoring today's program and turn it over to Rabbi Nitzan Stein-Koken to introduce today's guest speakers.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. And I'm so glad that we're partners here with the two of you, Gil and Shirley. It was a pleasure to talk in a few months ago. And so I want to just introduce you with your credentials for our listeners and participants today. Rabbi Dr. Gil Gershon Tivon received his rabbinical ordination from the chief rabbinate of Israel. He's also a dayan, a rabbinical judge, and he has served as a community rabbi all over the world, in South Africa, in Israel, now in Arizona, here in this country, and also serving a wide spectrum of religious Jewish observances from all walks of life. He is also a certified chaplain, as well as the spiritual director at Spiritual Care Hospice. His Ph.D. is both in holistic counseling as well as in pastoral psychology, and he's a certified mediator, psychotherapist, and hypnotherapist, and author of books. You quite cover a whole range of taking care of everybody's, our well-being, our spiritual and mental well-being. I'm very honored to have that you are here. And also, Dr. Shirli Regev, your mentor, author, hypnotherapy certified therapist in transformational therapy. You're a chaplain and spiritual care provider with 25 years of experience. You hold 2 PhDs in holistic counseling and pastoral counseling psychology, a master's degree in coaching education from Ohio University, and a bachelor's degrees in business from Touro University, and special education from Beth Barrel, Israel. You've written 8 books about self-development, spirituality, and growth, and some of which these books you co-authored with your husband. And today, you are a holistic counseling doctor. What an impressive journey in how you educate yourself, and what a gift that you have to give us today. So I wanna stop right here because you have so much more to tell us. So please, welcome to our 2 guest speakers.
Thank you so much for having us, and our sponsor, a great friend, Rabbi Nitzan, and the place that honors us. And I understand, Alex, that the person that we saw in the short video, one of them happened to be Rabbi Shmuel, because we never met. Which one was he?
Yes,
the taller one, or?
The tall one.
The taller one. I didn't know how to describe, so the taller one. Okay. Okay, good. Very nice meeting all of you. So it's beautiful to enlarge our understanding of this beautiful Jewish community, and everyone together is sharing, which is even better and very encompassing. And so the topic that was chosen for today is kindness, compassion, and dignity. Am I correct? Wonderful. So I've got only less than half an hour, so let's, in short, try to really get to the crux of it. From a Jewish perspective, we know that when the Torah was given, it's got 2 major elements, ingredients for the recipe of how to become a Torah person. And we really know that we are told in the Torah that we are the teachers of the world. Not because we are many, I mean, only not so many, right? You can see right now, around the world, because we are the teachers of the world. And in what way were we chosen to be the teachers of the world? Because the 2 special elements. One of them we created with a spark of God. And I heard, I think it was last week, a very big innovation from one of my great teachers, who's the late Rabbi Professor Twersky, Aaron Twersky, which I'm sure you all know from UCLA. He wrote over 90 books. So I've still got a way to go to get to 90 books. And he said as follows on this. It says, Na'aseh Adam B'Tzalmo. Let us make man in our image. So the usual translation of Rashi means, let us, meaning me and the angels, because God is very humble. But there's a different midrash who says something astounding, where it says, no, let us means you and me. You are part of it. God says to each one of us, you must be a small creator. You must do in your, don't wait for me to do. And I had yesterday from Rabbi Nachman of Breslav, from one of his students that is, unfortunately passed away 200 years ago, that in the Tehillim it says, Kitzilo al yad yamini, God serves as a shadow of me. What does it mean? Now, if I move and my shadow moves, who is doing the movement and who is the follower? Well, it's obvious that I'm doing the movement and my shadow does the following. No shadow will move if I don't. So God is saying, listen up. I'm not only your creator, I'm also your shadow. If you decide to be happy, I'll be happy as well with you. If you decide to be grateful, I'll show you what grateful means. If you decide to sulk and to be in grief, if you decide to be ungrateful, if you decide to be miserable and victimizing, well, that's the kind of life you have because you have created it, not me. It's a very big innovation. So that's one set aside that we should realize we created in the image of God. That applies not only to Jewish people, that applies that our investment and our influence is of every single person that comes our way. And that's one of my great friends, unfortunately passed away, Rav Tversky, that you know of, right? Passed away, Rav Taube of Monsi, right? That said to me personally that every person that he meets around the world, we've got a responsibility in a way to try and influence them with compassion, with dignity, with kindness. The way we're talking now, we don't have to preach to him to Torah. No, we just have to be nice, kind, and compassionate. The elements we're discussing today. Why? Because I've got a big obligation even to goyim, even to non-Jewish people. Because if I desecrate God's name by behavior, not being a role model, in Israel they say, take off your yarmulke. In America they say, is this a Jew? Let's go and march in Columbia University. So it's very delicate today, our situation. The other element, we were taught the secret by Rabbi Akiva, the great Rabbi Akiva, who reached heights none of his kind, who said the other element is called, you should love your fellow as you love yourself. Now, in the Torah, it doesn't say love, I should love for them. It says et, meaning all the Mefoshim, all the commentators say, I don't have to love you. I can, but I don't have to love you like I love myself because it's impossible. Because let's say my wife was pregnant, I can't say, well, I share your pregnancy, I really feel for you. I can imagine what it feels like, but unfortunately Hashem made me a man, I don't know what pregnancy feels like. So I can shed the pain, but I don't know how it feels like. But what the Torah says is try to get into somebody's shoes and feel for them, what are they going through? If they're poor, if they're miserable, if they need a cup of water, if they need something to drink, a bit of compassion, try to walk into their shoes, into their mindset, into their heart, into the feelings, and feel for that person, what they need, and try to give it to them. Zooming in on our three elements, we know, I don't want to go into Kabbalah, that was last night in the JCC, but in Kabbalah, we know that there's 10 Sefirot, and one of the great ones that we get influenced by is the sphere of compassion and kindness. Kindness is the first thing that we do as human beings to initiate actions. You don't owe me anything, I owe you nothing as well. And human beings, we created with a nature, the tendency towards being selfish. We are born selfish, we're very self-centered usually. That's a natural tendency, that's okay. For that, we have to march out of our skin and imitate and walk God's way and become giving. Seeing the other person is difficult for us. We can't always do it. And we see with many children, and some children say children until they get to hospice age, right? That they still stay in this comfort zone of not seeing the other person, that we have to learn to be compassionate and kind towards other people. Now let's start breaking it down, because these three words, compassion, dignity, and kindness, are not one and the same. They are not similitudes. If I'm talking too fast, just tell me slow down. It's too fast? Yeah. I can see my wife nodding, so it's too fast. It's okay? Wendy said it's fine. Okay. So I lower it. I lower the pace, and I speak very fast. So the point being, kindness means that I have to, first of all, before I approach any person, my source should be God, should be Hashem. I see, if I look into the creation, right, I see an incredible sun. It gets nothing from us, only trouble. But yet it gives us endlessly, day and night. Also at night, it gives to Australia. Also at day, it gives to Arizona. So it gives day and night. And that's an incredible analogy, the Holy Zohar says, to God. He's only giving. And I love equations. So if we write English God, G-O-D, minus good, G-O-O-D, equals 0. A simple equation. So God, we know, is only good. He really is only good. There's no evil in him at all. Unfortunately, because God is all good, he had to create something that is opposite than him. This is why he's infinite. I can't create from me something that's opposite to me because I'm finite. He's infinite by definition. So he created the evil and inclination. We see lots of evil in the world, right? We just went through the Holocaust Day, Shoah. We went through Holocaust in Simchat Torah, right? 10/7, right? We went through it now. So we didn't see human beings with any kind. We saw barbarian, less than animals behavior. But the answer to this, also said the Rebbe of Lubavitch, you cannot fight war with war. You cannot fight fear with fear. You can fight fear and darkness only with light. We say it on Chanukah. We say in Chanukah, we came here to dispel and to expel darkness with what? With light and love. So when we approach any human being, it doesn't have to be in hospice situation, any person, we have to approach them first of all with kindness, and we have to generate it. It's an initial step that we have to walk out of our own self-centered self and see the other's need. You have to be sensitive to this. The entire Jewish nation is hinged on this, because think about it. The only criterion condition that Eliezer, the servant of Avram, prayed to God to give him, to show him a symbol, a sign, what should be the right woman to be chosen to be the mother of all the Jewish people of a generation, was that the woman, man, she was very young, who's going to be kind and generous and compassionate to my 10 big, strong LA fitness men, she's going to be the one who's going to be the chosen one to be the mother of all the Jewish people. Well, many other things that we have to look at. How much money does she make? How does she do with crypto and stock exchange? And how does she understand business? And she's self-sufficient. I mean, there's so many other things. Is she kind? Is she gentle? Is she smart? No, none of this was checked. Why? Says Rabbi Nachman from Breslav, a woman that her eyes are beautiful, the rest of the body doesn't need to be checked. What does it mean? It sounds very chauvinistic. No, it means as follows. If a woman's eyes are facing in the perspective only to see the needs of somebody else, nothing else to be checked, so everything else is perfect. You don't have to check further. If her eyes are for kindness, she's looking out to do acts of kindness, she's initiating it, nothing else needs to be checked because everything else is already in line. Because she's rising to this level, everything else rises with it. Nothing else to be. So that's amazing. So kindness is something I initiate. Compassion is already interaction between two people. I have to be compassionate not only to human beings. What about animals? If I find a strayed animal, not to speak about homeless people that's around, Rabbi Nitzan's area, we're also not far from this area as well, many times during the weekend on Shabbat. We see many homeless people with the Jewish or not, it makes no difference, right? You see their needs. Some of them in wheelchairs, some of them, they're frozen to death at night. Some of them don't have a place for shelter. Some of them are so starved. You cannot stand by and say, it's not mine, let's move on. You cannot. Your Jewish heart doesn't let you. And Jewish people are known for three things. One thing is to be modest, right, or humble, right? The other thing is to be compassionate, rachmanim, baishanim, gomlei chasadim. And the other thing is that you should be kindness and compassionate. It's not the same thing because, again, kindness is what I have to develop in myself. Compassion is engagement between two human beings, any human being, and also animals, or also plants. I used to have a late relative in South Africa, many years back, and she used to talk to her leaves every morning and, and spray them and pet them. Each one had a name, Jenny and Johnny, each leaf, beautiful. And I didn't laugh, I was amazed. I looked at it. If you hear this, and I'm sure the Dr. Shirli Regev is going to speak about it. I'm just mention it. If you want to speak about it, I'll leave it out, because we did not prepare this, and not together. We're too much on our plates. Each one just speaks what comes out. There's an incredible Dr. Amataro. If you want to speak about it, Shirli, then tell me, Kira. And he speaks a lot about that he made quite a few studies which prove that if I am very compassionate and appealing and gentle and speaking in a nice way or blessing on my food, on my morning coffee this morning, it's still for me, we're in the same time zone, right? So then this word is not only blessed, but the molecules in there line up as crystals, which are very much will line up with what lines up with, because this will become part of me in a minute. But if I curse next to this water, or if I shout, the lining up of it will be so damaging to my body, to my animalistic self, psyche, that I rather not drink from them. So if we influence in such a way an inanimate object such as water or coffee, imagine what we do to others when we speak to them, either in ignoring them, right, or calling them. And we had enough patients around in our clinic for many years that a father will call his child, or a wife to a husband, you're a loser and nothing, you're nobody, you're an ugly, whatever it is, to bring out the other person, you're crushing the spirit. And King Solomon, the wisest of all men, said in Psalms, he said in the Proverbs, he said, if you get from somebody a hit on your side, and if somebody is calling you a loser, it's 100 times greater. It's a mega bomb rather than giving you a punch in your face. 100 times. So you measure the other way around. If you say kind words to somebody, how much you actually, you nourish their soul. And there are quite a few stories in the Holocaust of German rabbis in Frankfurt, etc., that made sure to say every time, out of being kind and compassionate to any human being, to a janitor, to a clerk, a simple person, hello, good morning, how are you, say here, right? And in time to be, when the Nazis came through, this janitor, that nobody ever looked at him in the Nazi offices, rushed to the rabbis and said, please do me a favor, take your family and your community, run away, because today they're going to murder you if you come here. So he saved many Jews just by the fact that for years, he didn't do it for any purpose or any interest, ulterior motive, just to be kind with somebody else. What it cultivates is in you. It cultivates. And I'm going to ask you a question to make it interesting for you. It's not one-sided lecture. What I'm asking you now, the Rambam, Maimonides asked in his Garrett, his famous letter, before there was emails. So he wrote an email to the people of Yemen, and he asked them as follows. I've got $100, and I've got 100 IDF soldiers, and they're all thirsty, hungry, it's very hot. 110 degrees out down there in the south in Gaza. So I can either give $100 around here, and each one will get a popsicle and a cold drink for $1, or I can go from one to one to one to one, which is very taxing and very lengthy, and give them each a popsicle and a cold drink. What should I do? I've got the money and I've got the option. This is time consuming. They will get it faster if I give them $100 and let them spread it around. What do you suggest that we should do? $1 each or $1 around, and let it spread fast. Any choice that you give is good. There's no right and wrong here.
If you give to each on a personal level, you make a relationship. So even though it's just a popsicle for a day or just a popsicle for 15 minutes, if you have that one-on-one, that I think is priceless. Beautiful.
Any other thoughts? Beautiful. All thoughts are good. It's an art. There's no science here. Mm-hmm. So the Maimonides says, in incredible innovation, Chidush, says as follows. When I give the $100 bill, I just make a check mark. I've done it. Done. I feel good about me. I'm a great Jew. It's such a good. I did the mitzvah. Whatever. When I do it 100 times, think about Schindler's List movie. At the end of this movie, after he saved so many Jews, he cried his eyes out. I've got some cufflinks over here that I made. Oh God, I could have saved so much Jews. He really changed. He changed from being a Nazi movement person and a businessman that couldn't care less anything, all his interests were in money, to a really compassionate person. And I envy this man. I think he's an incredible, that's if I would meet him, I would hug him. An incredible man, for sure. We come to dignity that doesn't involve me, or involves the receiving party. You know, Dr. Shirli and myself, when we were in hospice, we saw quite a few patients. Whether it's he, or when we come to comfort them, when we come to those people that are left and grieving in bereavement counseling, whether we saw them before, God forbid, before in the process of dying, whether we saw people that were very, very sick, right? You can see your own children. There's a dignity that we should keep by that person. They feel so vulnerable. They feel so weak, right? They feel naked, exposed, right? People don't see them, and sometimes nurses don't see them anymore as human beings. They see them as an object that needs to be taken care of physically. Turn them around, switch them around, they clean them up, they bath them up. It loses the very material of the dignity of being a human being. So this is something we always have to remember. How would we feel in the other person's shoes with dignifying that particular person if we were in the same situation? And the secret, Kabbalistic secret, is that karma, what goes around, comes around. God is giving us opportunities. When I'm given opportunity to dignify somebody else by giving them the space, for honoring even their religion. In our hospice, we had many religions, not only Jewish, Buddhist, Muslim, Christian, you name it, we had it, things we have to search up, what is this religion from? Shaolin. So you have to, it doesn't mean I have to agree with it, but I have to respect it, because belief is so deep that it's changing somebody's beliefs, it's changing them themselves. They really reject any kind of change about it. It will need to be Mashiach, Messiah, to change somebody's beliefs by appearance from the sky. But from our perspective, we need to dignify a person with, what is your tradition say, or man, what is your tradition when you're holding this? What would you like me to give for you? Oh, you call it halal, that's the Arabic kosher, right? Okay, whatever it is. Yeah. You want a camel with a parsley in his mouth, that's fine. That's what they do in the old city. Whatever it is that you want, I'll cater for you. So we have to cater for somebody's needs, whether they are physical, such as food, such as shelter, whether they are emotional, such as saying a good, nice word, whether they are mental, in listening to them. Some people just really feel so lonely that it's terrible. And I will share with you, I've got 4 minutes and I'm running against the time, right? That I read recently, it happened 3-4 years ago, a Jewish religious man in New York was walking through Borough Park through Shabbat, with his tongues under his hand, and he was walking around. And one gentleman stopped him at gunpoint and said, "Stop." Said, "I'm so sorry, I don't have any money. Shabbos, it's Saturday, I don't carry any money. I said, "Shut up and listen." So he held him up at gunpoint for a long time, just spoke his heart out. And after a while, the man took out the gun says, "I'm done, I'm relaxed now. I had nobody in the world to speak. I needed somebody to talk to." So that is incredible. The person should arrive at that. So one of my great teachers, unfortunately he died, his name was Simcha Cohen. Rav Simcha Cohen, he wrote a book about marriage and about a Jewish home in 2 volumes. I don't advertise because it's all in Hebrew and he already passed away. But he says a husband is a pauper, he's a poor man compared to his wife. He needs, it's not a wish, it's not a lust, it's not a luxury. He needs to speak to his wife. A woman needs, she has a need. Who's going to speak about all his sorrows and pain to? Who will open out and expose her to her husband? Children, if they need time to speak, it's a need. It's dignifying them, it's being compassionate in the interaction, and it's initiating kindness, and therefore living by the image of God. How much of this should we do? Should we do it, I do for you, you do for me, biz make biz? No. It's irrelevant, the time. It's one of the mitzvot, one of the commandments. There is no time zone with it. As long as it takes, it can take 2 hours, it can take 5 minutes. As much as this person needs to take it off their chest. And it makes no difference whether they're Jewish or not. Every person got that. And if it's a dog, seriously, or a cat or something that they need to be taken care of, the same applies. If you feel for that cat, it's yours, whatever it is, or for the dog, or for this hamster, whatever it is, you need to show them compassion and dignity. That's what needs to go through, right? So before I let Dr. Shirli take the podium and the platform, any questions or any kind of explanations of what I said that you'd like to add? It's not one-sided. You can say your own piece. We all friends,
All right, let me bring it in a different perspective a little bit and humbly share with you my own journey. Thank you for the Rabbi Nitzan for sharing academic journey, but really I think for being Israeli, I served in the army. I was in the national team for judo for more than 13 years. Coming from a very extensive background on sports, I had tough questions about the ethics, the morals, the compass of life. I am a student and I could keep being a student, and I'm a very humble person as a mom, as a wife, and I'm a seeker. And that brought me personally to this path of learning and evolving and asking questions. So values and morals and all this beautiful subject we're talking about, where does it all start? It starts with consciousness. I really hope that your consciousness today, what we call in beautiful language wisdom, is different from who you were 20 years ago. You see life differently. Certain things that were very important to you 30 years ago might not be as important as today because you have changed. Maybe your power have changed, maybe your perspective have changed. So really to tell you at this point what is right and what is wrong, it's not my place. It's a place to invite you to question your mind and to come out from this meeting today with certain question marks that will stimulate the student within you. So I will share with you a very, I think, funny presentation that I use sometimes. And I speak about being authentic and self-authenticity and being real and being right. And I am a daredevil when it comes to questions those things. Because who said who is right? What is right? What is being authentic? What is being a person of value? How would I know your value is better than mine? Is my value in my career, in my health, in my personal life, in my community life are all the same? Is kindness is the same kindness that I'm expecting from my partner as I'm expecting from my community member? Is love and being direct and trust is the same level or meaning that I expect from the people I live with or in my family, right? So according to Google, authentic self, right, is goes beyond what you do for a living, right? What passions you own or who you are to someone or to something, right? A rabbi, a judge, a lawyer, a doctor, a mom, a brother, a friend, a girlfriend, a wife. What does that mean? I know for me, the mom I used to be for my 20-year-old is not the same motherhood I'm applying to my 6-year-old. Just because my life have changed, I evolved, not that I was bad then, it just different, right? So where do I make my choices from? What is the compass that helps me or not helping me making my decisions? So as a counselor, and just to put aside, I'm not a clinical psychologist. I don't do by the list or the clinical setting. I'm all about out of the box. Most of us deal with stress, right? So how is stress look like? Some people, I know for 20 years, stress was a really good feeder for me. You elevate your performance in sports, in work environment, when you have a little bit of stress, right? When the people you work with, a little bit stressed when the boss comes in, or when you see a cop on the way, a policeman, you kind of like, driving very, very well, right? So stress is something we can elevate and to use and utilize in a very productive way. So does values and morals and ethics and all these other beautiful things. How I am or who I am is based on many, many, many ingredients. So I always say peace comes when you have your pieces together. So my intention with that statement is to stimulate your investigator. And students said, well, what's my pieces? Because if I want to fix it, I heard a very good analogy from Dr. Rabbi Abraham Tversky when he said, I never ate a lobster in my life. Lobster is a very soft animal. And a lobster, at a certain point, is growing to the point that the shell, right, the home is in, is very tight. Now, if lobster had access to a doctor, he'll say, hey, doctor, please help me. It's too tight. I'm suffocating too much. Help me. Doctor will give him medicine. Symptoms will go down. He will stay half an inch for the rest of his life. What a lobster is doing, unfortunately for him, does not have any access to a doctor. He go behind the rocks, shell his shell, and build a new home, a new place to grow. And eventually he's doing it a few times in his life until they become a very fat, beautiful lobster. Okay, so we are kind of like analogy for a lobster. Life stress us, put it in a very something difficult and challenging situation, such as morals, values, ethics. What is the right thing to do? What is the right thing for me? Should I be right or be wise, right? Should I fight for the sake of fighting and winning, or should I win the war, right? And all kind of junction in life to challenge us, to educate ourselves, to get information that can be transformational to my life. Because if you meditate every day and your life is still the same and you're going through the same problem or challenges, I don't know if meditation is the right thing for you, because it's not shifting your reality. So the same mind that creates the challenges you're experiencing cannot be the same mind is manifesting, creating in your reality. Authentic self, being a moral value, how does that look like? Does it look? Does it have to have a yarmulke or kippah in his head, a tzitzit? Do I have to wear a dress, pants? Do I wear a coat of a doctor? Like, how does that look like? Right? Do I find it by myself, all by myself? A lot of people say, I gotta fix myself before I go into relationship. I need to be a moral person before I go into relationship. So a lot of people are trying to find themselves in a way that's gonna help them fix, right, their life. So where do I find the compassion, the kindness, and dignity, and how does that look like? Where do I find it? In the Bible, with my rabbi, with my neighbor, right? So do I really get the friction and understanding by myself with the book or with people? You see, being Ezer Kenegdo is not against him, is with him. So when things happen, we tend to think, oh, it happened to us by so and so and so. The place we should aim to go, according to a lot of intervention, past life regression, hypnosis, psychotherapy, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, is really to see Gam zu letova. What good can come out of this? Right? And if it happened to me so many times, what do I need to learn from it that can really change my life? So there is a beautiful practice, which my husband mentioned, made by a physician, psychiatric doctor, Dr. Han Long. It's called, I don't say it right with my accent, Ho'oponopono. His method is going as follows. He was a spiritual person, non-Jew, and this is important. It's important to know that he's not going by the Bible and Kabbalistic and the Zohar. He observed his life and his practice, and he realized that every client he meets, there's something in him as the doctor, as the therapist, that can meet and connect to that person. And when he does, that person can heal. So, meaning things happen for me and not to me. So he applied that method in a facility, or his facility, of 1,800 patients. And again, all of them mental health, psychiatric patient. And he observed them with a special mirror on the behavior. and what do they do, and trying to find a place to relate, right? And the more we are humble, not to judge and not to use our ego, which is very important, this is a side note for later, we can find ourselves through every person. And he did it, and he actually healed 1,800 patients. And this method works in a way that we say, thank you, forgive me, I love you, and thank you. And I'll explain. So it works in two ways. One, with me and universe, I call him God, universal power, cosmic energy. A lot of people use different names according to where they're holding. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Forgive me humbly. I have no idea why you sent it to my life. Don't know. Thank you. Forgive me. I love you. I appreciate this opportunity to be here. I just don't know what to do with this problem. So thank you, forgive me, I love you, and thank you. Meaning, I don't take it personally. It's not about me. When I get upset, it's because things don't get the way I want. When somebody get upset at you, it's because their perspective or their expectation is not being fulfilled the way they expected. So it's never really about you. It's about the other person. So when people can relate to you, they will find what's right with you. When people cannot relate to you, they will find what's wrong with you. And you have no control of that beside how you yourself process it. So one is thank you, forgive me, I love you, thank you. God, universe, to thank you for this lesson. I have no idea how to work it out. I see it loud and clear. I observe, as Dr. Caroline Leaf, one of the neuroscience doctors, mentioned, you gather information. I'm not oblivious of it and I'm ignoring it. Dr. Caroline Leaf, if somebody wants to look her up, she said, gather the information. Don't ignore it. Don't suppress it. Just gather the information. How you feel, how your body feel, how your mind, where's your thoughts? So thank you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Yeah, that's another way of saying it. Thank you so much, Bev. There's few variations on that. Thank you, forgive me, I love you, thank you. The other one is for me with myself. For example, thank you so much, body. Forgive me for all the abuse, the hard work, the stress, the anxiety, the depression, the overthinking that I'm putting you to. I'm not sleeping because I'm so worried. I'm putting this vehicle on a lot of stress. Thank you so much for being there for me for so many years. I love you. Forgive me and thank you. Now, this method was used by a physician who had a motorcycle accident. Dr. Caroline, and if somebody's interested, I can send you a documentary movie that she's one of the main characters there. She was supposed to amputate her leg, and she didn't want to. Now, as a physician, you think clinically, rationally, it's the right thing to do, but she wasn't ready for that. She was a young physician. So she decided to use that kind of method of using intention work, right? We call it Reiki, energy healing, Ho'oponopono, all this beautiful, effective, scientific proven, by the way, work. And she actually healed her leg. She was not put under the operations table. And she created, which I followed her research in Texas, a whole center where she works with the spouses of the cancer patients, not with the cancer patients, with the spouses. Why? Because how they think and how they feel influence the patient. So she wanted to test it. She's a scientist. She took two different facilities. She put one measuring group in one facility when there's no direct connection to the other ones. And all the cancer patient in different facility. She trained the spouses how to think and what to do and how to what we call vibrate, good energy, healing energy, prayer in a way that will be sent to their spouses. So they opened the monitor, we're in different facilities, and the spouses saw their sick spouse through the TV. And the patient, the cancer patient, were monitored. And every time their spouses watched their loved one and sent healing energy and prayer and positive affirmation, there was a movement, an ongoing, consistent movement in the brain waves and the vibration of the patient. So she proved scientifically the importance of the attitude, of the atmosphere, of the mindset, of the actions of the whole community, which is the household, for this case, of the Cajun patients. Fascinating. Fascinating. So when we talk about compassion and we talk about dignity, how will we be able to recognize it in others if we cannot recognize in ourselves? There is a method of therapy which is called CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. And it works in 3 levels. I'm going to be very short as much as I can. It works as follows. Some people experience their reality based on what's going on in the world. We don't have to say much. From October 7, all the Jewish people all over the world is being shaken, not to say about what's going on now. And a lot of people, their daily reality is being very challenged by the circumstances. I have people that are anxious and have anxiety. Some people cannot function in their jobs if they are doing service to others. Some people got into depression. Some people got very angry and experience a lot of anger. Their whole reality is based on what's going on in the world. Some people buy new weapons. I know people that buy a lot of weapons, right? That's the one level. Another level is how I experience myself through what you think. So if Wendy loves me, oh, I feel so good. Or if Jody loves me, I feel great. Or she told me I'm funny because she's laughing every time I tell a joke. So I know I'm funny, right? And if Steve told me I'm a lovable person, I think I'm lovable because he told me that. So all my identity is based on what other people tell me about me. And so my stress level, just to go back to the presentation I start, fixing myself, all my life is based to the external approval, validation, confirmation, feedback or no feedback of someone else. It seems okay, beautiful. So the other level, which we all should aim, is to be able to see our life through our life. So let's say I'm asking you, Judy, tell me 3 things about yourself. So if I'm putting you on the spot, you don't have to answer. How would you describe yourself? What would you say? 3 things.
I'm retired. I'm curious, and I am empathetic.
Okay. So for the first description, you might say, well, it's I'm legally retired. I don't have an official job. Correct? But if somebody from the side may see you and you're busybody, it's like, oh, she's busy all day. Retired? Well, retired. Maybe she's not getting a paycheck every month, but I don't know you. I'm just assuming. She is busy. She is working hard. Right? It's what you define or public or social a norm or coding say what is retire. And I'm supposed to understand what it means. So when you tell me that you retire, I would assume, well, she probably, I'm just joking, yeah. She's going to the spa and she has much time to jog and she's maybe reading more books and maybe she has time to do meditation every day. I might describe retire as the way I want to be. Maybe she's going to Sedona every day. I don't know, I'm just saying. So I might describe it the way I see the definition is. Very compassionate. What does that mean? So just to help you go to the direction of the solution, to be as efficient as possible, The best way, and I can send you a chart, I can send it to Rabbi or anyone in the group that I can
Alex,
forward. Yes,
yeah.
I call it a strength list. And the homework will be as follows. Let's say I am saying I'm kind. Right? Well, my husband told me I'm kind. I made him dinner. My kids told me I'm lovely because I made the laundry. Maybe I'm kind. I don't want to define my kindness based on what other people tell me. So let's say I decided to make my coffee this morning and I made it just right. I took an extra 2 minutes to put the cachava inside and the vanilla inside. And when I drank it, it was delicious. So I will say I was kind to myself. And let's say a different thing. Let's say I'm defining myself as an open-minded person. And I see a person that is very different than me. The first thing is like, ooh, right? So I said, shh, quiet. Let's hear that story. Let me try to understand. So I will say I'm very kind, very, very kind to that person, very compassionate. But no, if I did something wrong and I did a mistake, what voice came to my head? You're a loser. You are horrible. You're stupid. Sorry for my French. Did I say to myself? And if I did, I have to check myself. I wasn't so kind to myself. I wasn't open-minded to try something else. So in the end of the day, I have to go shopping and said how Shirli was kind to herself, how Shirli was open-minded to herself. If I define myself as wise, how did I use my wisdom to myself today? Why am I doing that? So I'll give you 2 reasons. One, when I define certain things that I'm doing, and let's say my husband is making me coffee later on today or tomorrow, I'll say, oh, it's very kind of you, because I already defined what kindness is. If I ask you, have you seen a yellow car recently? Unless you own one or your neighbor own one, most will say, oh, I know it exists, but no, I didn't. And now, from now moving forward, you're going to see yellow car. Yellow car here, yellow car here, yellow car here, yellow car here. How come? It went to your, what we call in Hebrew, toda'ah. Consciousness. So it's not an awareness, because you have an awareness there is a yellow car, but you're not conscious your neighbor owned one. So I play this game with my kids. Yellow car, orange car. I'm looking for the gold car. I always saw one of them, a Jeep. So
I'm looking for the gold beside the car.
but this is a test of consciousness. Why? Because when I do those things, I'm present. I don't know about you, but I know when I'm driving certain places, sometimes like, I know I but I wasn't there. I was on the phone. I was busy. I was fixing this. I was driving. I pushed the gas and pay attention to the speed, but I wasn't fully conscious there. So when I feed myself with all kind of, I call matamim. How do you say matamim in Hebrew, in English? Spices. My consciousness become much more telesuited towards compassion, dignity, value, kindness, because I am putting those seeds to kind of like look for them. And the best seed to start looking for them is, so da'et atzmecha, know who you are, and then you will know who is other people and who are you standing in front of. Because if I don't know myself, I don't know my default, I don't know my triggers, I get angry all the time. It's your fault. It's your problem. You did this. I take everything personally. It's consuming my emotions. I don't own my life. Thank you for giving me. Thank you. I said, put it in the door. I don't own my reality anymore. So either I'm on autopilot, or I feel I'm being robbed for my own life. I'm not here. So being conscious with the toda'ah, this is something we need to do daily to remind ourselves, because we very easily go into the autopilot. Very easily. If you eat with your eyes closed, it's not going to be the same dinner or lunch or breakfast, whatever. It's going to be a different experience. Any questions?
Oh, I would like to maybe just not exactly a question, but what the two of you have, what echoes in me is this image, two things of Rabbi Gil, what you talked about, kvod habriot, right? Like the dignity of everybody around us, right? You brought that in. Everybody, it's based on this idea that, you know, we are all created with a divine spark in us. And, you know, my first inclination as a caregiver to my family or to a community is always to like, or to the people on the street, right? Where's the spark? Where's the spark? And acknowledging that spark and bringing it out in people, that divine spark of being a good creation, all in all. And what I hear you, Shirli, you know, compliment is I can also apply that viewing myself in that dignity with that kindness and really, you know, ignite my own spark. And that's what's so beautiful, how both of you, you know, taught us this hour, right? To remind ourselves, despite of all the challenges that are around us, let's focus on that spark and letting it grow and letting it be seen in the encounters we have with others and with ourselves. So
I'd just like to add the response to what you said. I brainstormed while Shirli was speaking with myself. She sparked me out. She brought out the spark in me. So there is an incredible, one of the great commandments in the Torah, which is overviewing and overseeing everything else, is V'alachta b'dracha. We should walk in the ways of God. And what does that mean? Because if we look at the little star of God, which is the sun, and I'll try to walk past it or by it or follow it, I'll be burnt alive. So what does it mean? So the Midrash says, such as the way that he's compassionate and kind and giving, this is what we should adapt. Now, there's a beautiful prayer that we all share, and it comes at the end of the daily prayer book, right, the Siddur, which says, "Letaken olam b'malchut Shaddai," which Rabbi Nissan knows very well, right? That we should reform, we should repair this world with the kingdom of heavens. That's free translation, unless somebody can translate it in a better way. In your way, that would be great. So whatever we do, we think that we little spark, that we are, let's say we're going now towards elections. What should make the difference if I go to the ballots and if I don't vote? I mean, to the count, I mean, nobody cares. That's not true. Every person around makes a huge difference in the world. And Jewish souls, we are each a letter in a holy Sefer Torah. If you don't do your share, I can't do it for you. I can spark it up, but you have to bring out your own spark. If you don't do your share, this entire generation Sefer Torah is pasul. It cannot be used because you were given, we said at the end of Shemona Esrei of the daily prayer, you were given your special share in this world that only you can bring out. So it doesn't make a difference if you say, well, it's giving me motivation to be kind, compassionate, dignified. Yeah, wonderful. If you don't do yours, right, that beautiful spot of yours, which Garden of Eden that you have with the people that you know, nobody can fix it in the world unless you will pick it up and you will do it. What Dr. Shirli said, if you don't take self-care, if you don't show self-love, you've got nothing to give away from to anyone else. So you can say, in our language, you can say life happened to me. You can say life happens for me. But after this session, you can say life happens from me, from me. Be creator, be creative, initiate, do things in your special part. Don't say I'm just a little person, I'm just passing by in this world. We all do. We all do. But your passing by makes a ripple effect. We call it the butterfly effect, right? In the entire world, your way, your special way. And you know, to share with you, I just remembered, I used to pray in Israel. In the place that I stayed in, every neighbor in Israel, there are 1 million synagogues. One is Hasidish, one is Ashkenazi, one is Faradi, one is Yemen. Wherever you want to go, people going into their own synagogue. So in one of them was an elderly man that was living on his own, obviously was a widower, didn't have any children, nobody took care, seemed like a very bitter person and very, very much a lonesome guy. The only connection he had in this world was watering his plants outside the synagogue every day. Then he passed away and nobody knew of him. And there were very few people in the funeral. It turned out that the entire building of synagogue is 3-level high. He is the donor. He's the sponsor of the entire. He was an incredibly kind, hidden, righteous human being that nobody knew about. He did lots of kindness with many people that never recognized or acknowledged, and therefore in his funeral there were so few people. We don't know who's the next person next to us because we only see the casket, we only see the figure, we don't see the inside beautiful soul. So we have to pick it up, this beautiful flower inside us, that's what Dr. Shirli said, and nurture it in our loved ones, in our children, in anyone we meet, they can rise and shine on their own. That's why in Hanukkah we light the candle, and Shabbos we light the candle. Why do we light the candle and not switch on the light? Because when you light the candle is going to burn for many hours later. Light the candle in other people to be kind, compassionate, so that they'll do it themselves and they'll light many other candles later. And that's the light that's going to dispel the darkness.
Thank you.
Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
All good.
Okay, we have a little bit of time left. I know Bev has her hand up, so maybe we can take one more question before we wrap up.
Sure.
Okay, I'm just going to put this in the chat. That's about that therapist in Hawaii that used the prayer. And it's interesting, the site is called Compassionate Listening. From the beginning of your presentations, all I could think about was on the trail in front of my house, there are young people that walk with their pets or their children in carriages, and they're on their phones. And it's heartbreaking to me that their children don't have that connection. And I was thinking through, well, what can I do? What can I do? So thank you. By the end of your talk, I'm going to go get some chalk and I'm going to write on the trail. I don't know what I'm going to write, but I'm going to write messages at night when no one's around. And thank you. Thank you for today.
So what you say is incredible. And what I appreciate in you so much, you seem to be already be in your 20s, right? 20s, early 30s. So you've seen a life. You've seen that life that we're missing in our generation. We are all the product of 19. We've got a 19 before the rest. The children of ours have got 20, etc. I think the children in the 20, 30 plus, they will be born with an iPhone in their hands from the womb. They don't have interactions. They don't have human connections. They don't know anything about that. And therefore, they're going to be AI children instead of emotional intelligence children. And that's terrible. That's the greatest Holocaust from my perspective. And this is what you're pointing out. And it starts at dinner table. It starts at conversations between people. Put aside this machine, put it aside and just let's speak and interact and in person. Even if it's in Zoom, it's beautiful. We don't need all the time to be engaged. It's an addiction. This thing, and it comes in the price of any human relation when we miss the emotion, we meet the spark that Rabbi Nitzan mentioned. It's such a great loss. So any post you put up there will do a great.
Yes, and I'll mention one more thing, or one more name for you, Dr. Mate Gabor, if you heard about him.
Right.
Yes, so it's pretty much on the same alley when it comes to compassionate listening, compassionate heart, because really in order to heal, we got to feel. But in order to heal and feel, we need to be in a safe space where we've been heard, we've been seen, and our story is being noted.
I'm in Canada, and his book, The Myth of Normal.
Yes, yes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yes. So, yeah, I guess we're going to leave you with that note. And you're more than welcome to contact us or ask questions. We are available to communicate and help empower and spread the light.
So, Alex, thank you very much, Alex Kramer. We also wanted to thank our page through the people to Rabbi Shmueli. I didn't have the privilege to meet him in person. I see that he's there. Maybe he's online. We'll be able to say hi and thank you so much, Rabbi Shmueli. And thank you for hosting us today. And let it be the spark that will light up many more sparks in the future. Please God. Amen.
Amen.
Nice meeting all of you, meeting you,
Thank
friends.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for this great
Bye-bye.
presentation. Thank you, Beth L, for co-sponsoring. And thank you all so much.
Thank you so much.
Am Yisrael Chai.
Amen. I'm so high. Thank you.